Imagine the very liquid that keeps you alive. The stuff that falls from the sky and flows through the veins of the earth suddenly carries a price tag dictated by a boardroom in Switzerland. We aren't talking about a sci-fi dystopia. We're talking about the reality of a $300 billion empire that has successfully commodified the essence of life. While you might know them for chocolate bars and baby formula, Nestle has quietly become the world's most powerful water mogul, turning a nearly free resource into a liquid gold mine. This is a story of how one corporation managed to outmaneuver governments, drain local aquifers during historic droughts, and convince the world that water isn't a fundamental human right, but a grocery item. The scale of this operation is staggering. Every second, thousands of plastic bottles roll off assembly lines, filled with water pumped from the ground for next to nothing, and sold back to us at a markup of over 50,000%. To understand the dark side of this industry, we have to look past the serene mountain labels and refreshing marketing campaigns to the dry wells and desperate communities left in the wake of the world's largest food and beverage company. The philosophy behind this global takeover was perhaps most famously, or infamously, articulated by the company's former CEO and chairman, Peter Brabeck. In a candid interview, he suggested that the idea of water being a human right was, quote, extreme. Quote, while the company later attempted to clarify that he only meant wasteful water use should have a price, the message to the world was clear. If you want to drink, you have to pay. This mindset set the stage for a decades-long aggressive expansion. Nestle doesn't just compete in the market. They create the market by securing land rights that allow them to pump millions of gallons of water from the ground, often while the surrounding communities are told to shorten their showers and stop watering their lawns. In places like California, during some of the most severe droughts in recorded history, Nestle continued to bottle water from the San Bernardino National Forest using a permit that had technically expired decades earlier. While the earth cracked and farmers watched their crops wither, the bottling lines never stopped moving. They weren't breaking the law in their eyes. They were simply exercising a right to a resource that most people believe belongs to everyone. But the strategy goes much deeper than just extraction in the West. In developing nations, the playbook is even more concerning. In countries where public infrastructure is crumbling and tap water is often unsafe, Nestle doesn't step in to help fix the pipes. They offer an alternative in a plastic bottle. In parts of Pakistan, reports have surfaced of local water tables dropping hundreds of feet because of nearby bottling plants. As the local wells go dry, the villagers are left with a cruel irony. They can no longer pull water from the ground for free, so they are forced to buy it back from the very company that drained it. This creates a cycle of dependency that is incredibly profitable for a multi-billion-dollar entity, but devastating for a family living on a few dollars a day. It's a masterclass in predatory capitalism. Identify a basic human need that is being poorly met by the state, seize the source, and sell it back to the thirsty at a premium. The marketing of this water is a feat of psychological engineering. By branding their products with names like Pure Life or Poland Spring, they tap into a primal fear of contamination. They've spent billions convincing the global public that tap water is inherently suspicious, despite the fact that in many developed countries, municipal water is tested more frequently and rigorously than bottled alternatives. This manufactured distrust has led to a plastic crisis of epic proportions. Every year, millions of tons of plastic waste end up in our oceans and landfills, much of it bearing the labels of the world's biggest water bottlers. Nestle has made various pledges about sustainability and recycling, but critics point out that as long as their business model relies on the mass production of single-use containers, the environmental cost will always be an afterthought to the quarterly earnings report. They are selling us the solution to a problem they helped create, and then leaving us to deal with the trash. In the United States, the battle for water has moved into the courtrooms of small towns. Nestle often targets rural communities with high unemployment and low tax bases. They arrive with promises of jobs and economic growth, But the reality is often different. A bottling plant is highly automated, meaning the job creation is often minimal compared to the sheer volume of wealth being extracted from the local land. When towns try to push back or limit the amount of water being pumped, they find themselves facing a legal team with more resources than the entire municipal budget. From Michigan to Maine, local activists have fought to protect their springs, only to find that water rights are a complex web of 19th century laws that favor those with the deepest pockets. In Flint, Michigan, while residents were being poisoned by lead in their municipal supply, Nestle was pumping water just a few hours away for a nominal fee of a couple of $100s a year. The optics were haunting. A city without safe water right next to a corporation taking it for free to sell elsewhere. The financial engineering behind this is just as calculated. By acquiring dozens of local and regional brands, Nestle creates an illusion of choice. Whether you're buying Perrier, Spellegrino, or a budget gallon jug, there's a high chance the money is flowing back to the same headquarters. This vertical and horizontal integration allows them to control the price points, from luxury sparkling water to everyday essentials. They aren't just a participant in the water market, they are the architects of it. They have successfully lobbied for regulations that favor large-scale extraction, and have worked to privatize what was once considered the commons. Quote, "The danger of this monopoly isn't just about the price of a bottle. It's about the precedent it sets. If the most fundamental resource for human survival can be completely privatized and controlled by a single entity, what's next?" As we look toward a future defined by climate change and increasing water scarcity, the stakes become even more dire. Experts predict that water will be the oil of the 21st century, the primary cause of conflict, and the most valuable asset on the planet. Nestle has spent the last half-century positioning itself to be the gatekeeper of that asset. They are buying up the blue gold, while the rest of the world is still waking up to its true value. The $300 billion valuation of the company is a testament to how successful they've been at this. But at what cost? When a corporation's primary duty is to its shareholders, the needs of a thirsty village or a parched ecosystem will always come second. We are witnessing a slow-motion takeover of the world's most precious resource, hidden behind the mundane aisles of our grocery stores and the colorful labels of our favorite snacks. The question we have to ask ourselves is whether we are comfortable with a world where our survival is a subscription service. Every time we reach for a plastic bottle because it's convenient, we are inadvertently voting for this system. We are reinforcing the idea that water is a product rather than a right. The dark side of this monopoly isn't just a list of corporate scandals or environmental violations. It is the fundamental shift in how we view the natural world. It is the transformation of a shared heritage into a private inventory. Nestle's success is a mirror held up to our own priorities as a society. As long as we value convenience over conservation and corporate profit over community health, the water monopoly will only continue to grow, 1 gallon, 1 bottle, and $1 at a time. The reservoirs are being tapped, the permits are being signed, and the dark side of this $300 billion empire is just beginning to show its true depth. We must decide if we want to be citizens of a world that shares its water, or customers of a company that owns it. The choice, much like the water itself, is slowly slipping through our fingers. In the end, the story of Nestle and the water monopoly is a reminder that some things are too important to be owned. If we don't protect the water today, we may find ourselves paying a price we can't afford tomorrow. The silence of a dry well is the loudest warning we will ever receive, and the clock is ticking on the global water supply. It is time to look beyond the brand and see the reality of the liquid in the bottle.